I'm going to be taking a look at e-readers and how I'd love to use them in my middle school reading classroom. First, a definition. An e-reader is a digital version of a book or periodical. Common e-readers are Nooks, Kindles, and there's apps for iPads and smartphones. Why are they considered an emerging technology? While there's new capabilities and features with each new version of the e-reader that comes out, some now include photo storage, extended battery life, text-to-speech, and more. So what would a sixth grade teacher do with e-readers? I'd encourage middle schoolers to read. Just by reading, kids gain the ability to decipher context clues, they make inferences and predictions, they develop an understanding of plot and conflict just by reading. But the problem is that there's many middle schoolers that are reluctant readers. They're just not as motivated to read. They're not interested in picking up a book. And I feel like what I've noticed is that when students bring e-readers into the classroom, some of those less motivated readers are interested in the technology that other kids have. They'd look over their shoulder, they'd ask to try it out, and they'd look at it for a couple minutes and then have to hand it back to the student who actually owns the e-reader. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if these kids could actually try reading out a book on an e-reader and see if it's something that would be interesting to them and see if it would help them be motivated towards reading. So here's what I'm going to do. On my reading blog, I have just lots of different resources that I've plugged into there, and I also kind of keep track of the books, the young adult books that I read that I think might be interesting to my students. I have several links on there, and I also at the very bottom have a link to my Shelfari page. And here I've also included some new links. They're e-reader links that I think would be great for students to have access to. One that I found really helpful was the Hennepin County Library ebooks site. Off this site, you can check out ebooks just as if you would check out a regular book from a library. You click on just ebooks, type in the title of the book you are hunting for. I want to read Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. It's been recommended to me quite a bit, and there it is. So then, with this page here, I click connect. Then I use my Hennepin County Library card barcode number, and I can check out that book to 7 to 21 days. As soon as I'm done, it goes right back to the library. I don't even have to actually drive to the library. How great is that? So that's one site that I want to show my students. Another site, couple sites, are the Barnes & Noble Free Fridays. Every Friday, Nook has a free book. And not always books that would be appealing to young adult readers, but it's worth a shot. Some of them have been ones that would be interesting to young adult readers, so it's worth checking out. Then I have the Teen Nook books, the tween books from Kindle, Kobo Young Adult, and then I have some lending sites that kids could try out with their parents to look at lending books. One site that I want to talk about is on Barnes & Noble's Nook site. Nook does a great job of showing books that are kind of more affordable. Nook books under $5 and free Nook books. The lists change quite a bit, and so if you just go back and kind of check it out, you can often see that there's maybe a book or two that's pretty cheap that is probably pretty interesting to students. Then Nook also has a great feature called the Lend Me Nook books. These are books that when you purchase them, you also are purchasing the capability to lend the book to someone else. What that feature means is that when you get the book, you can read it yourself, and then when you want to lend it out, you lend it to someone else for 2 weeks, and after that 2-week period, it goes back to the original Nook owner, and then they have the book back. Now the problem is that the Lend Me feature only works for one lend per book. So I guess if I had some students who all had Nooks, I might get them together next year and try to see if they can collaborate on these Lend Me books and pick books that maybe more than one person wants and lend them to each other so they can kind of have a community to share their books. So, what else am I going to do to encourage my middle schoolers to read on e-readers? Well, I'm going to show them how to get free Nook, Kindle, ebook, and Kobo apps for their smartphones. Many of our students have smartphones and they can get those free apps and try out some books. They might find that reading on their phone is pretty interesting to them. I'm going to demonstrate how to access free ebooks from the library and other sites so that they see it doesn't have to be something that's more expensive, that they can use the library to access books still the same way that they get books from the library today. Then I'm going to let them try out my iPad during class to read my books. I have several different apps on there. I've got the Nook, the Kindle, I've got Kobo, and I've got ebooks on there. And I've got several titles in each of those types of platforms. And I'd let my kids try it out on my iPad and see if it's something that would be interesting to them. Then, in addition to that, I want to take it a step further and write a grant for some e-readers for our team to use. I'd like to apply as a team for 10 e-readers and ask for about 3 books per e-reader at this time. I'd especially like to find books that are interesting ones for middle schoolers that deal in the nonfiction and historical fiction genre. Those are genres that aren't picked up as often as the others, and I think using the e-reader along with these genres I think would add some interest. And then I'll have some documents that would help kids check them out and understand their responsibility towards using these e-readers and just encourage them to try it out and see if it's something that would be interesting to them. See if it would help some of our less motivated readers become more motivated readers. That's my main goal.